So we're just going to wait to see if we have any participants coming on. It takes a minute for everybody to get on. All right, good evening and welcome. Redfern Park in New Sudbury will soon receive new outdoor exercise equipment, and this virtual consultation session is your opportunity to review equipment options and share your suggestions. With us this evening is Ward 12 Councillor Justin Laundrie-Altman, as well as Cindy Dent, Manager of Recreation at the City of Greater Sudbury. If you have questions or comments, you can submit them at any time by clicking on the Q&A section on your screen, and we will get to them following the presentation. This engagement is scheduled to last until 7:30, but please note that should questions cease to come in, we will end early. All right, let's begin with a few words from Councillor Laundrie-Altman.
Thank you, Sasha. Welcome, everyone. Thank you very much for your participation. This has been a long time coming. Redfern has been on the book since 2010. Those of you who attended might recall the in-person public consultation that was had at the park itself. And in that consultation, the residents did express their desire for some outdoor equipment, and they actually had selected some pieces. The first phase of Redfern was the installation of a play structure, a table with a shade, sort of an umbrella type of shade on top of it. And now we're in phase 2 with the installation of the equipment. Quite a difference 11 years later in terms of a consultation. So this is a project of note. This is a community-led project, hand in hand with the ward councillor. And what that means is that the Ward 12 HCI is the star of this initiative, along with the volunteers of Ridgecrest Association who have continually supported this effort, and myself. I can tell you that accessible equipment was installed at Ridgecrest. It's very, very popular. It's great success. And as promised, finally, we are here at Redfern. I look forward to hearing your suggestions and your questions. And so let's get on with the show. Thank you. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you, Councillor. Now, Ms. Dent will speak to some outdoor exercise equipment options and explain where they might be set up in Redfern Park.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. And I will just share my screen shortly. I'm just looking to, there we go. And here we go. Can everyone see my screen now?
We can't at the moment.
How about
now
there?
We can. Yep,
okay,
perfect.
Wonderful. So I just wanted to start out by saying and echoing the councillor's comments to say that this really is a homegrown project. This comes from you, the public, in consultation with the volunteers at the Ridgecrest Accessible Park and the ward councillor. So the application through the HCI funds, of course, helped to realize so many different opportunities throughout the community, including many opportunities at Ridgecrest itself. And again, this is what will be happening at Redfern. So instead of doing a whole new presentation, I just felt it might just be as beneficial to go through the actual over to you opportunity, which is listed here on your screen. And it shows all of the options that have been brought forward thus far. Of course, we will add to those comments from the comments this evening, as well as any other comments that are received until the public consultation is over on September 30th. So if you're on this meeting and you haven't filled out the survey yet or gone on the Over to You site, this is what you will see. And it's a really great and easy way to be able to participate and see what's up in the city. So particularly with this particular opportunity, you can see that on the screen, and it's on the city www.greatersudbury.ca website. and you just click on the Over to You page, which I might be able to show you here. I'll go back one more. Well, actually, it's just on Over You off the main page. Then once you get to this page, you scroll down and you can see the Redfern option. You click on there and it'll take you right here. So what you've got on the front page basically is that you'll see that we're doing this virtual consultation right now as well. There's a link to this meeting, and there's also a number of different visuals that will give you the idea of what's going to happen here. So we've got an aerial view of Redfern Park. You can see Redfern Street here at the top. So it's orientating you, and I believe it comes around a circle here and comes back encircling the park. You can see your walking path and your existing equipment at the top end of the diagram. And the intention, or the general intention, and again, nothing is written in stone yet, would be to put this equipment that I will show you shortly in this area of the park here. Now, again, that's up for discussion. If there are other ideas, we can certainly willing to put those on paper and capture them. So, so certainly that's what it looks like. We've got lots of space to work with, and some of these designs are pretty exciting. So as we go through the page, I'm going to go through the design options in a little bit more detail, but as well, you can see that you have a chance to vote online which option once I show you, if it's design A or design B. And on top of that, if you click on survey and the tell us more option, you have other questions that you can answer to provide more feedback into where we should be heading with this and who you are as an individual. So what accessibility options would you like to see incorporated? What barriers might exist with the use of the exercise equipment, which would prevent you from participating? And any other suggestions whatsoever. So on top of the suggestions you share with us tonight, there's an opportunity, if you think of more tomorrow or next week before the 30th, come online or call 311 and we can add your suggestions here. And they will all be captured and gathered at the end of the engagement period. So just going back to the section that shows us the options, which are here. So these options were developed. As staff, we discussed with the group as well as with the ward counselor, the options that might be available for outdoor exercise equipment. We have a number of different locations throughout the city that have outdoor exercise equipment, and they have been well received. Location is key. So I would say that the Redfern opportunity, which is obviously around an area where it's more of a passive park right now. People like to walk on the walking path. They like to walk in the neighborhood. And certainly having an opportunity like this might be something that certainly adds to their activity level. You can see in option A, this is one option that is laid out in a cluster. So you can see that there are ways to move across equipment here. If you can see my cursor, there are ways to lift and push and lift your body. There are lifting bars. There are climbing rungs to this side. And then there's some other balance items here, pushing and balance items here as well. You can see the equipment in operation here in some of these photos where people are climbing across the rungs and on a balance board here. Okay, so it gives you a little bit of an illustration what that might look like and what opportunities there are to stay active here. Further on for this option, you can see, trying to figure out how to zoom. Can we see this photo okay, Sasha, or should I try to zoom in a bit?
Yeah, it's a little small.
Okay, there we
That's
go.
much better.
Okay, so we can see here that there are 4-person combo bars, and again, a kickboxing station, which is that red pole in the middle, a balancing plate. Again, all different kinds of activities that you don't have to be, a superstar athlete to be able to perform. And a way for more than one person, maybe 2 people or more than one person to use the apparatus at a time. lots of opportunities here for the community to stay active and to increase their, their muscular ability and activity levels as they go through the park. Again, here we are just showing a few more items, the horizontal ladder, the 4-person combo bars, plyometric steps, which are the ones that are spread out. This is the kickboxing station, and then the balancing plate. Any questions on this first option as I've described it? I can't see hands, Sasha.
I have a question.
Okay, great.
What are the accessible components in this particular configuration? Thank you.
So in speaking with accessible components, it wasn't my general understanding that we were to design an accessible exercise structure. But having said that, I do believe that once an option is chosen, we can look at what available options there could be with these designs to see if they can be incorporated. Often a playground company will, for example, sometimes this climbing bar here can be done at a lower level so that someone in a wheelchair could go through the climbing bar in their wheelchair, right? Or there might be another option on one of these bars to do something that is more geared towards upper body at a lower level for someone who has mobility issues. So if accessibility options are a priority, I know, Councillor, we talked about an accessible swing earlier as well. That's something we can look further into to incorporate into the design that appears to be the most popular, and certainly see what's available.
And in fairness, when we first approached this,
You're on mute, Councillor.
Since Ridgecrest was fully accessible, this one was not approached with the same intensity.
Right.
But an accessible component, I think, would be an added feature to this. Thank you.
Understood. So that's definitely something we could look into. And again, I think if an accessible feature is a priority, then what I might suggest is that if a general design A or B is chosen, then we can definitely look and see what opportunities might exist for accessibility options on whichever option is chosen, for sure. Does that answer the question, Councillor?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay, great.
No
All
questions
right.
from anyone else at this point, Ms. Dent.
Oh,
You can continue.
okay, wonderful. I'll move on to option B. Okay. Now you can see that this option certainly looks a little more busy. It's a more of a concentrated design of equipment where it looks almost, if you were to look at it, it almost looks like more of a playground, right? It is not. It is still definitely geared towards outdoor fitness. It's just that it's clustered together and joined together. It's just a different design. So you can see, I think we're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people look like they're staying busy on this equipment. So there are leg raises, pull-ups, assisted pull-ups, which means that you don't need to, you're not free falling. Dips, which is what the gentleman in the front is doing, knee raises, assisted push-ups, sit-ups, parallel pull-ups, assisted squats, some stretching, a ball target, horizontal ladder, and cannonball pull-ups. So we'll try to break this down a little bit for you into some of the other diagrams. So here's a little bit, this kind of shows you the same one. Choose this one instead. Okay. So you can see I've just gone through those. If you just have a look through here, the assisted pull-ups, the dips, knee raises. And again, if anyone is currently part of a gym, a lot of these movements and exercises will be very familiar to you. There is no extra equipment required. You're simply using your own body and the equipment as it exists to do your exercises. Assisted squats, stretching, the ball target, horizontal ladder, and lat pull-ups. You'll also see some of these exercises mirrored from the last equipment. Mind you, I think this one looks like there could be a few more options in it. And the schematic design, I will show you here. That's kind of what the footprint looks like. So it's all connected as opposed to the other option being separate components. Are there any questions on this design specifically?
No questions at this point.
Okay. I will say that we have budgeted to try to put artificial turf under this equipment, which counselor will really bode well towards the accessibility factor for those that are able to use the components as they exist. And if we are able to incorporate a couple of accessible components, then that would really be something that would be great, right? So that ground cover will work well towards those efforts that you mentioned.
Okay, we're just
I see a question.
Yes, I was gonna say, we're gonna backtrack, Cindy.
Sure.
The question is, how does the ball target work?
Okay, I'm wondering if I'll be able to tell that from here. Just a second here, I'll try and get the picture. So to me, it looks like a medicine ball. And it looks like to me, it looks like it's a fairly heavy ball and you must raise it and toss it against the target that has the design on it. It looks like a bee to me. So a lot of times you'll see in a gym where someone is throwing a heavy ball or lifting a heavy ball. This looks like you toss it against that target, but I can find that out and we can post it on the over to you just in case I'm wrong.
Thank you.
I
That's
have
all
a
the questions for now. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I have a question concerning the ball target, and it's the experience we've had at Ridgecrest. We had a ball on the end of a post and the ball keeps disappearing.
Okay.
How is this tethered differently so that it remains, or because the photo is not clear?
I'll look further into this component. I have a feeling that this, hold on. It's not tethered. I have a feeling that this ball, if it is indeed the heavy ball that I'm thinking, that you would bring your own. Now, what I'll do is, just to be sure, I will make sure we post more information on this ball target before, we should be able to get this for tomorrow and have it posted. Just to make sure that I'm on target. I know it's not a tethered ball. I just want to make sure that it isn't the ball that comes with the equipment. I don't believe it is. Have I left anything unturned there other than what I maybe need to find out for you, or is there anything more I should provide?
I think we're good.
Okay. So it doesn't appear to be any other questions on option B. So as I mentioned earlier, both of these options are listed here. What we heard already was that it would be preferable to have a couple of options, a couple of components that are accessible. And I don't think that that's impossible. It's certainly something we can look into. Also, I'm not sure if I mentioned already, but our budget for this equipment from HCI is $55,000. And the two options that we've shown you here with the artificial turf ground cover does fit within that budget as it stands right now. So what we would like to do is as many people as possible, if you have not filled out the survey, whether it be online or in some other fashion, we would really like to hear your opinion on these options and what you prefer as well. So pick your design option and then complete the survey. If anyone has joined the meeting who does not comfortable filling out the survey online, you can call the city at 311, and there's a couple of options there as well. We could have someone either assist you filling out the survey online. We could email you a survey. And I'm sure that any other way that we could actually Canada Post, we could send you one through Canada Post as well. So we're trying to make sure that you have every opportunity that available to you to be able to complete the survey to provide your input. So I think that's about all I had to show you on the over to you. Sasha, did we want to go to any further questions at this point?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Dent. It's time now to hear your questions and comments related to Redfern Park's new outdoor exercise equipment. Again, you can submit them by clicking on the Q&A section on your screen. And we will just give everyone a little time to enter those. As a side note, Ms. Dent, someone mentioned that there's a broken latch on the Ridgecrest swing chair. So
okay,
maybe we'll take note of that.
Certainly, I will do that, and we can forward that on to the Parks Department.
Perfect. The first question, when do you anticipate this project will be complete?
Well, I can certainly answer that. It really is dependent on when we get, if we get a lot of feedback that is different from the design options that we have here, we will need to work with our playground provider to redesign and add items that will fit within the budget as well as within the designs we have as add-ons. So let's just say, you know, we do need to add a few accessible components. It may take a bit of time for that playground designer to work that out for us. And then we need to formally order the equipment and wait for it to arrive. It normally takes between 6 to 8 weeks for the equipment to arrive. And if it arrives in time before it's too cold, then we will definitely try to install it this fall. And if not, it would be as early in the spring as we could possibly install it, given the weather conditions and ground conditions. So it's a little bit dependent on the feedback we get from the community actually at this point, but this is definitely on the radar, and it will be prioritized once we are able to finalize a decision and get the equipment ordered.
Perfect, thank you. And this is kind of related. Is there an ability to do something different aside from those proposed options?
Well, there certainly is, and I know that, you know, the ward councillor is definitely on board with us making sure we hear from everyone. So if we hear from the community that there is a dramatic change in what the community wants, and it's something different, then, you know, we've already got this money allocated to this site. If there was a large change in what was asked for, then we may just have to ask ask council if they agree with the change. But if it's a minimal change, such as just changing the type of equipment or changing a design option, we would not have to ask for council's permission to change that because of the funding. We could just get a redesign done, and then we could order that design if everyone agreed, and then proceed to install that. So this is not by any means a done deal here. We did our research for options A and B based on what we thought we wanted in the beginning. If that has changed, then we're happy to see what else the community would like to do.
All right, thank you. We have no further questions at this moment, but we will give folks some time to enter them if they wish to.
I have another question. This
Please go ahead.
concerns the location of the equipment. If we're looking at installing it, I think the preference was to install it around, I call it the chandelier. It's the light that we installed in the middle of the park for safety. I believe that is the preference, as opposed to what we had discussed before was an option of maybe alongside the properties, but what that was deemed more intrusive. so that the installation would be in the middle. And to still permit a lot of room so that if anybody wished to play any kind of a ball game of any kind, there would still be room.
So Counselor, would that be in the area where my cursor is right now on the screen?
Little higher up. Yeah, a little higher up. It's just to concentrate the area, because what it does is, well, the other purpose is to have parents be involved in exercise while watching their kids
Understood.
playing on the structure, so that and to orient it in that way. But the four-way permits that, and so does the other one actually. But that was actually the initial vision for that, and the reason for it, so that the parents were not sitting around doing nothing.
Right.
Because, yeah, so it provided them an opportunity as well for exercise.
Sure. So Andrew's on the call as well, and I know he's hearing and seeing the feedback. So certainly he will be ensuring that these are the things that are in place as we move forward.
All right,
I
the next
find-
oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
The next question is, if there is spare money left over, where will it go?
Well, I would say that under normal conditions, when we've basically picked these designs because they do make the most and offer the most opportunity for activity with the money we were provided, encompassing everything that would be needed from start to finish for this project, whether it is ground preparation, installation, and finishing afterwards. So we are pretty confident there won't be much money left over. But if money is left over, there could be some use for it potentially at the park, or it stays in the HCI account. We're pretty confident with the budget we have for this project that most of that 55,000 will be used up.
Okay, if there are any other questions, please submit them.
Just curious, Sasha, how many callers do we have on the call right now?
We have 2 participants presently with us,
Okay, great.
and we have another question. Can we look at a public water fountain?
I don't believe, actually, I'm not sure. I'm wondering if they mean a standalone fountain. I don't know that there would be water access here or not. We could certainly look into that and post it on the site as a response. But
It would be for
access,
drinking water, Ms. Dent.
yes, so it would be a standalone water fountain. Normally, we have water fountains that are near buildings which already have water access. So I couldn't comment if that's possible at this site or not, but what we can do is I can discuss with Andrew, and we can post this on the Over to You as a question from the public and provide a response about whether it's possible. Of course, funding might also be a challenge there. So if there's no water that's accessible nearby, bringing water to the site would likely not be included. We likely wouldn't have enough money in the budget to do so. But we can certainly provide that response.
And the participant thanks you.
Sure, sounds good.
We'll just await further questions.
I have another question. If a shade structure were deemed a priority, or at least an integrated component to this structure, would that be possible? Or perhaps removing some components to add some sort of shade on top of the structure that's being proposed now?
Okay, so just to make sure I'm understanding correctly, do you mean shade on top of the exercise equipment so that the people participating would be in shade instead of full sun?
At least whatever is possible, whether it's an arbor, whether it's some sort of structure. There is a shade structure at Jim Jerome.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with that one.
Yeah, which is the wing, I believe you call it. So I don't know what would be possible. We had discussed an arbor an arbor structure at some point.
Sure. So what I can provide to you, Counselor, is I don't believe that that there's enough funding in the budget to accomplish that. And I will advise that if I remember correctly, the one at James Jerome was achieved through a grant. And I think when this project came forward, when the 55,000 was provided, it was for either a gazebo or the outdoor fitness equipment. So if we were looking at another cover, there would need to be, I think, another ask for funding. The one that we were able to gain at James Jerome through the grant, the value was in the neighborhood of about $25,000. And it's kind of amazing because really that structure looks fairly simple. There's 3 poles and then a sail type of apparatus that runs between them. But the foundation that those poles are on, I guess that's what costs so much. But certainly, you know, it would be nice if we could achieve another grant for some kind of, if that's something that the community wants, for sure. So while I won't say no, but I would suggest that the money that's already been allocated for this equipment will be fully utilized for the options that you see here, unless they're reduced dramatically. So it's a hard question to answer that doesn't have context. So how much less equipment would we have in order to achieve some shade? Yeah, so I'm sorry, it's difficult to give a really exact answer to that question. I do think you wouldn't, if we were to include some kind of shade structure, you would not see anywhere close to the amount of equipment here that you see in these 2 options for the same amount of money that we have in our hands right now, if that helps at all.
It does. Thank you.
Okay.
Any further questions from the public? There are no other questions in from the public. Counselor, I'll let you decide when, if you would like to end the meeting or if you would like to continue hanging on.
Sorry, Sasha, was that asked to myself?
No, that was for Counselor Laundrie Altman. I will let her decide if she'd like to stay on a little longer or if she would like to conclude the meeting at this point.
Okay, so I think
my message indicated that to wait at least 5 or 10 minutes, but I would like to know what message will appear when the session is terminated early. Are we posting anything?
A message comes up automatically when someone signs on to a meeting that isn't in progress. It will say that the meeting has concluded.
This meeting is being recorded.
Yes, it is, and it will be available in the next couple of days on the Over to You page.
Okay, is it possible then to have that message appear when the session is terminated early? So that if anyone wishes to access this particular recording, or at least get the answers to the questions that were posed, that it is accessible?
I'm not sure that we can change the message on a Zoom meeting. Cassandra, are you aware of that?
I don't believe we can change the message. It's just it comes with Zoom, like when it's completed.
Yes, it's their generic message is what I understand as well.
So I believe there's a comment.
Yeah, we do have a question. When I passed the entrance of Coniston yesterday, I noticed that they had a shade structure like the one at Ridgecrest. There is a possibility that the Board of Education can tell us where these are built. Might be an option for Redfern as well.
Well, I can tell you that Ridgecrest was the lucky recipient of a donation from Dalron when they developed the St. Andrews school site. The association and myself approached the developer, and they kindly donated the structure to the park. So hence we have a lovely shade structure. So if there are any schools out there that have shade structures and developers out there that would like to donate their structure, please give us a call. We're interested.
The other thing I will add to those comments is I know as well, I believe that with Andrew's input over the last number of years, there's a couple of designs that have been undertaken as accepted and approved designs where we kind of know what type of structure we would build for shade. Now, in an application like this, there might be some different type of application necessary just due to the fact that it's covering something as opposed to just being enjoyed to sit under for shade. So I will say that, you know, there's been a bit of work done on acceptable designs for shade structures. And I think one is present at Corpola, and the other is present at Percy Playground. Jocelyn, I'm sorry, Counselor, you might be aware of that one, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
Andrew did. It has the stone. It has the roof that is able to take a snow load, which interestingly enough was a factor that played a role in the design.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so so this would be something else. I'm not convinced that these the designs that we have approved would possibly be conducive to what we've got here with, you know, the elevation necessary or the size necessary. If you were to choose option A, design A, the type of shade structure would need to be much larger due to the expanse of the equipment being more spread out. So there definitely have to be some further conversations if shade was going to be considered both from a budget as well as a design perspective.
Understood.
And we will just hang tight in case there are further questions.
Is it the same? I have a question. Is it the same participants that have been here since the beginning?
It's would appear so according to who the questions are coming in from, but I don't think I can confirm a name, but there's only been two besides the panelists.
So I would ask the two present participants if they do have any questions. Or any comments?
And you can submit those through the Q&A if you do.
The other thing I would add, Andrew's being extremely helpful in just providing a bit of information as well offline. So any structure over 110 square feet requires a building permit, which triggers a requirement for a structural engineer. And of course, as anyone is aware, once we get those kinds of things involved, it does increase the cost of whatever you're constructing. So I believe that 110 square feet is basically like 10 by 10, a little more than 10 by 10. And both of these designs are larger than that. Therefore, that would likely be the case, just for information purposes.
The shade issue is one that is repeated in all parks. And Redfern is one of them where it had been identified quite a while ago. Obviously, something to cover the equipment would not be feasible, but perhaps a corner, perhaps some sort of structure where at least there could be some respite from the sun.
Mhm.
Might be something to consider.
Yeah, and your comments, Counselor, would this be something that we could, would you be willing to consider this as a second project after the equipment is achieved? Or is it something you want to happen in parallel?
Well, I think that given the budget that is here now, in consideration of the comments that we will get and more questions, hopefully, then we'll be able to formulate if it's phase 3 of the
Okay.
project. I know that there are some funding opportunities through grants that are available presently. And hopefully something like this might be eligible as part of a package being applied for. So that's another discussion for tomorrow.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
And we have no further questions from the public.
Well, at this time, I think that I'd like to thank everyone who did participate. Hopefully, we will not be curtailing the questions or comments from anyone arriving later. It's always a disappointment to see that, well, perhaps other things came about. So I would say that we can terminate the meeting now. If there are any other questions or any concerns with the early termination of this meeting, by all means, you can call me at 705-674-1212 or send me an email. And if anyone has any comments that they would like to pass on, by all means, we're always there. So thank you very much to staff. Thank you, Andrew, for the design. I have to say that this is a project that was consulted on by the Ridgecrest volunteers and staff as of last year, and Gervais was the lead on that. And we did have a public consultation in person planned. And then COVID hit. And then that was the end of that. And this is how we know our new reality, unfortunately. So thank you very much, everyone. And unfortunately as well, my Zoom video was not functioning properly. So thank you very much, and we'll see you later.
All right, and that concludes the consultation session. Thank you all for joining us. Please note that residents can also vote and provide comments, as Ms. Dent mentioned, on the equipment until September 30th online at overtoyou.greatersudbury.ca. And I will let Ms. Dent sign off now with closing remarks.
I just want to thank everyone. Certainly in our position in recreation, it really is a pleasure to work with volunteers and counselors alike in order to achieve projects like this that we know are so beneficial to the community to stay active in their own neighborhoods. So thank you for taking, those of you that did join us tonight, thank you for taking the time out of your evening to do so. And for anyone that's going to watch this later and is going to fill out the survey or has already, thank you again for your input. It really helps us help you more. So thanks to everyone, and I hope everyone has a great night on this rainy evening. Thanks, everyone. I think we can conclude now.